Hey guys, welcome to the video. This is a fun one and I've been wanting to do it for a while and I am so glad that I did. This gun is a Ruger SR-556VT. VT means Varmint Tactical. That is the 20-inch stainless barrel and the target trigger. And while I really love this gun, as you can tell, it's not factory, so I didn't love everything about it. And one of those things is it did not come with a threaded barrel. I'm going to thread that barrel and make a custom thread protector. I do not want this to turn when I'm threading, so you can see right now how I have it set. This pulls on that, which will hold in here. We're going to take really light cuts, so there should be low stress. I could turn between centers with a bunch of pressure, but once I get to the threading stage, I don't want to risk that slipping, so we're going to go real careful. At this end, I have a live center. It's hardened steel, so there is a brass cone that slips over the top. That should protect the bore or the rifling at the muzzle. This barrel is stainless steel, and I will be running coolant. When I've worked with stainless steel, I find that it gets quite hot, and it can warp and expand. Using coolant helps mitigate these problems, and I found that it machines a bit easier as well. Just a quick look here. I have the shoulder cut and I have a relief cut for threading. Everything looks good, and honestly, this was the most nerve-wracking part. I feel pretty good about the next operation, which is the threading. Single point threading. Yeah, this is one of the sexiest operations you can do in a lathe, and it's got a bit of risk to it as well. And you can probably tell this is not the first time I've single point threaded on my lathe, and I've learned a few little eccentricities of this machine. I have a carriage stop that I can set, but it will not stop threading. It will plow right through it. Also, if I drag my hand on the main hand wheel of the carriage, I can't disengage the lead screw because it will bind. So needless to say, I am hyper-focused when I'm doing this procedure. In the future, I may look at flipping the tool upside down and running the lathe in reverse. But until I've practiced that, I'm going to do it this way for now. And here on my last pass, I'm using Anchor Lube. I find it works just a little bit better than heavy cutting oil for a smooth finish. One last little touch up here. Experienced machinists, gunsmiths, you probably already know, but yeah. Everything turned out fine. I'm sure there's some easier ways, but let me point out one mistake that has to be remedied, and that is at the very tip here. And nope, it's nothing to do with the crown or anything like that. I did not, when I started threading, chamfer the start of my threads. So I have a rough spot right here that is interfering with my thread protector. So there we go. There was a burr all the way around here because when I started threading, it kind of rolled the metal that way. Ideally, I should have taken that and chamfered that area before I started threading. But anyway, easy fix. All right, that stainless was getting pretty hot, so I set up some coolant and I have the vent fan on. I'm just gonna cool this down and then go ahead and thread it. This bit is 15-30 seconds. This will be the final drill before I tap with a 1/4-28 tap. Just going to use a chamfer bit to make it easier to start the tap. Now to tap. This is anchor lube. This seems to work quite well, so I'm going to keep on using that stuff. This is a very fine threaded tap, and it turns nice and easy, but I'm still making sure that I take the time to break the chip. That's that quarter step backwards. Yeah, I mean, I could probably just crank it all the way down, but like most hobbyists, I only have one of these taps, and if I break it, I'm done for the day. So I'll take it easy. All right, this next thing is going to be a custom thread protector, which is kind of like a little piece of jewelry for the end of this barrel. I'm going to start by relieving the threads on this outward facing end of the protector. Then I am carefully turning it down to match the size of the barrel. And again, running coolant because a hot part will measure large. And I want to be as close as possible to the same exact diameter as the barrel. Then using a parting tool, I'm going to cut it off just a little long. Next, with some soft jaws on the chuck, so I don't mar that beautiful finish, I'm going to clean up the muzzle side and trim it to length. Now that it is the correct size, just a tiny little chamfer on those threads so it seats nicely against the shoulder of the barrel. This thread protector is pretty slippery, and it's hard to get on tight enough where it won't unscrew. And if it is on tight enough that it won't unscrew when you're shooting it, then it's too hard to get off. So I came up with this solution. I put 6 little half circles in there, and the reason being, it will line up exactly, well, there's a little clearance, with a T70 Torx driver. This is a T60, so it doesn't fit, but check it out. It'll slot right in there like that, and if I really need to get that unstuck, this will do the trick. And it's seamless. There's no visible things on the outside here, no notches cut or anything like that. And now with the thread protector fit on the end, I'm going to polish it up and make it blend in as perfectly as possible. Off camera, I did shorten the thread protector a little bit, and I ended up getting a better finish than what you see at the end of this clip. That is a finished thread protector, and it matches up very nicely on that barrel. I'm super happy with how that turned out. So there we go. The camera kind of shows every possible little defect and fingerprint and smudge mark, but let me just, there we go. I'm very happy with how that looks. I really love the clean line on the outside here, and that I simply can use a T70 to crank that on or off depending, well, whatever the circumstances. All right, there we go. And I did check the bore, and I did clean the barrel just to make sure there's no machining chips or anything left inside the barrel. Well, I'm going to go ahead and test that in the morning. Kind of made a mess in the shop. I think I'll leave that for the morning crew to deal with. I'm going to bed. Good night, everyone. Good morning. The morning shift cleaned up out here. Looks pretty good. And now we're going to do some testing. The plan is to take 3 shots with unsuppressed, and 3 more shots with it suppressed with the 375 end cap. And then I have another end cap which is 7mm, and we're going to test that one and compare all of them and see which one is quieter. Well, we pretty much already know that, but see how they compare. I have a decimal meter on my iPad. Now, granted, it's not going to be great for comparing outside of this test, but it will be set up identically for all the shots today. All right, this is the setup. This is the range. There's a 75-yard target way out there. Looks like the kiddo set up some bowling pins. We'll save those for him. And then right over here is where I'll record the decibels. And if we back up, it's not exactly 6 feet, but it's close. And I'm going to have it positioned at the front of the muzzle as best I can. Again, keeping everything exactly the same for all shots. All right, here we go again. This is with the AB Raptor from, I think it's Aero Charger Ballistics. This is the 375 suppressor with the 375 end cap. This is the Raptor 10. And there's a 3-inch reflex. Shot number 1. This is the AB Raptor 10 375 cam, and this is with a 7mm end cap. 3 shots. Shot number 1. Thank you for checking out the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun, and yeah, this was pretty awesome. We're gonna do a bunch of shooting and have some fun today. Take care, guys.
First shot.
Nice. Get it? Looks like it. Nice.